Welcome to episode 1 of The Uncommon Edge. I'm your host, Matthew Gurney. Welcome. We are excited to get this kicked off. But first off, I want to give you the why this podcast exists. So the purpose behind The Uncommon Edge. See, as men, we need a why. We need purpose in our life, right? It's very difficult for us to roll out of bed and do anything if there isn't purpose. We're made for purpose. So we have to have a why, most often attached to that purpose, or else it's very difficult for us to ever have motivation. There's a lot of back and forth about how men are motivated. You know, consistency often breeds motivation, because we see result, correct? But that's not how we get started. There isn't a day that we wake up and we get started because we're just motivated by results, because the results have yet to happen, correct? So, I want to give you a little bit of the why behind The Uncommon Edge. See, I started this because I got tired of average. I got tired of my average effort. I got tired of my average values. I got tired of my average impact. See, we don't want to live a life deep down. There's a motivation to not live a life that's mundane, not live a life that's common. Hence the title, Uncommon, The Uncommon Edge. This is a place that men can come and they can be encouraged. The men can come and they can listen to this, and the hope is that it rings true in the lives of those that are listening. As a man, as an entrepreneur, as a husband, as a father, I know there's more in me. I know there's more in us. So this podcast is for men who feel that too. Men that know deep down there's grit. There's something more. They desire more. This isn't for somebody that wants to stay in the same spot day in and day out. This isn't for somebody that enjoys and relishes in the mundane. This is for that man that's decided to pull himself up by his bootstraps, that's tired of being average, that's tired of going through life the same way every single day. It's the man that's tired of not fulfilling his convictions. It's a man that doesn't even believe in himself because he can't get up and do what he's promised himself to do. See, guys, I'm not coming from a place of hierarchy here. This isn't me put up on a pedestal. This is me humbling myself before you and telling you that I need this too. But what better way to start than forming a community of men that are going to encourage one another, that are going to hold each other's arms up, that are going to encourage not only to forge our metal, but also this is a place for men that they can come and they can relinquish some of the fight to other men. This is a place for warriors. This is a place where we're going to come and we're going to be men that are a part of The Uncommon Edge.
Welcome to The Uncommon Edge, the podcast for men who are built different. I'm your host, Matthew Gurney, and this is where we sharpen the edge in business, in fatherhood, in faith, and in life. If you're tired of watered-down leadership, empty motivation, and surface-level hustle culture, you're in the right place. Let's knock off the rust, sharpen our edge, and forge our metal together.
See, this isn't about being perfect. It's about being sharpened. The uncommon edge is that eternal grit. It's doing what most won't. It's praying hard when it's hard. It's showing up for your wife and your children when you're exhausted. It's building a business with integrity and leading when no one is watching. It's about integrity when no one is watching. It's about doing the right thing every time, even whenever it's difficult, even whenever your flesh is pulling you in a different direction, whenever it's telling you, no, we're going to do this instead of that. It's about breaking generational curses. It's about becoming the lineage that you want. It's about building a name. Guys, and maybe out of all of that, that's the least important. And you say, well, Matt, that's exactly what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be building a name. So whenever our name is said, that people associate it with integrity and character and doing what we say we're going to do every single time. Guys, this is about something more. If this is only about you, this isn't the place for you. But this is about creating a culture. Creating a culture of men. Creating a culture that'll go out into a world that's fallen and in demise. Will stand in the gap. Men that aren't motivated merely by success and accolades and monetary values. Like I said, if that's why you're here, this isn't what you're going to get here. But this is a place for men that look in the mirror and they're sick and tired of themselves. They're sick and tired of the same thing. It's about becoming different. I want to tell you a little bit of a story, and we're coming out of Father's Day, which, by the way, I hope you guys that are fathers, you had a good Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to you. But this is the fourth Father's Day now, third Father's Day now. I can't remember. It's been 3 years, but so third, I assume, Father's Day that I haven't had my dad around. My dad passed away at 63 years old of a massive heart attack. And it was one of those things that impacted me forever. You know, the loss of a parent is, let me rephrase that, the loss of a good parent. I think the loss of a parent, period, but a loss of a good parent is a grief that's very difficult to overcome. My dad was a good man. My dad taught me what it was like to give his shirt off of his back, to put himself second, not only for his family, but for others. My dad was one of those men that he would talk to a stranger and become friends instantaneously. He cared about people. It wasn't that he wanted something from them or he was trying to get something out of it. It was just because he was a genuinely kind person. See, guys, there was a lot of stuff that I learned from my father, so losing him was a blow. He was the one that I would often call whenever things were going well, and he was the one that I would console in. I don't know how to say that, but console in for in those moments whenever things were difficult. He was the one I'd ran to. And losing him at 31, so basically getting started. I had small children at the time, and I needed my dad. But to lose him so young made me step up. My dad was one of those men that he was always overweight. He was a very big brain. He was an extremely intelligent man. He was a mechanical engineer, worked for a lot of pretty large corporations in America, had a few patents, but he would design things for companies, robotics, those types of things. So my dad was a very intelligent man. He was one of those guys that you could sit in front of Jeopardy on the television and he would answer 90% of the questions correctly, really in about the same time that the contestants would. He was like that. Whenever I was young, I didn't realize, but my dad had carried on some of the generational curses of my family. And towards the end of my dad's life, he had ailments that really slowed him down. And I think by his own decisions, kept him in a chair, kept him set down for the majority of his late 40s into his early 60s before his death. And it was something that I've noticed in my own life, that if I'm not careful, there is a streak of laziness. It is very easy for me to get out of shape and overweight. It's very easy for me to use food as a crutch, as an emotional relief. Because frankly, guys, it's an addiction. And I've noticed this as a pattern of my life that keeps me from being what I need to be. So whenever I talk about my why, because there has to be something. There has to be something that motivates you to do differently. Guys, the problem is that we will, for the rest of our life, unless we kill it, have generational iniquities because of our fathers and their fathers. And unless we're the ones that step up and kill this in our life, we mortify it in our life, it's going to continue. And I've noticed this. I noticed it in my life. I noticed it in my family's life, my dad's brothers and sisters. There's always something that keeps them from being what they should have been. Now, I may get flack if one of them hears this, but being honest with you, I don't care, because it's the truth. It comes down to recognizing your ailments. See, my dad didn't have ailments that would have necessarily crippled him, but he allowed them to. He allowed these generational iniquities to cripple him to a point to where he was essentially bedridden for the last of his life. Whenever my dad passed away, he was nearly 400 pounds. He had had open heart surgery 2.5 years prior to his death. He had had a heart attack in his early 40s. He dealt with neuropathy in his feet, so he walked with a double crutch. He had a very difficult time getting up and down stairs because the muscles in his legs were so weak that he could hardly carry around the 400 pounds because he sat in his chair and he watched television and was waited upon the majority of the last 10 years or so of his life. And guys, like I said, my father was a great man. People loved him. Anyone that got to know him understood that he was genuine. But he had these things that kept him from being what he was supposed to be. Guys, and if I'm not careful, I see that in myself. I see me falling prey to this if I'm not mindful. But guys, I started to see how it'll impact and affect my children. How it impacts my business. How it impacts my marriage. How it impacts me emotionally, mentally, physically. Guys, I'm 34 now, and I'm starting to feel some of the same things that my father felt. Being overweight isn't good for anything. It's not good on your organs. It's not good on your joints. It's not good on your mind. Now, granted, I try to go to the gym at least 4, maybe 5 times a week. But my life is so fast-paced that if I'm not careful, it's much easier for me to stop at fast food and grab a bite to eat there. And if any of you know exactly what that's like, it's very difficult to eat within a calorie range if you're eating fast food. My job, it takes me around. I'm often in a truck. I'm often at a desk. There's very little limited physical activity. So whenever I look at my life and I look at the pattern of my life, I'm starting to see some of the same patterns that plagued my family for the last 2 generations. And the only reason why I say the last 2 generations is because I don't know the 3rd and the 4th and the 5th. All I know is my father and my grandfather. And my grandfather was the same way. All I knew of my grandfather was in his latter years, but my grandfather as well passed away of a massive heart attack while driving him and my grandmother. And they ran a stop sign, and they were T-boned by a car, and it killed them both instantly. Let that settle for a minute. Now, guys, my grandfather was in his late 70s, early 80s whenever this happened. But I watched the majority of my grandfather's latter life. My grandmother serve him his dinner. My grandfather sit in his chair and watch television. Guys, there's a pattern here. And I'm wanting to break this in my life. I don't want a man chair that sits in front of a television. Even though it's very easy for me whenever I get home to sit down in a man chair in front of a television. But I know that that's a death sentence for me. I know that it's not a motivator for me. I know that I'm sullying the gifts that God has given me. Guys, I enjoy food. I love good food. Food that is made by a restaurant that is known for its cuisine. Now, granted, like I said, I eat a lot of fast food on the road, but my preference is good food. But guys, it's so easy for me to overindulge. It's so easy for me to eat more than what I should and snack throughout the day and snack in the evenings and drink soda and do this and do that. Guys, my dad attended every single one of my games. Baseball, football, wrestling, whenever I tried basketball, whenever I tried track. He didn't miss. There was only a short time in my life where my dad was away that he missed. But every time he could make it, he made it. But guys, I only have a few memories of me ever throwing the football or baseball with my dad. I only have a few memories of me doing any kind of physical activity with my father. Guys, if I'm not careful whenever I get home, the stress of this life, the extra weight that I carry, metaphorically and realistically, I find it much easier to sit down in front of a television. I find it much easier to do what appeases me in my flesh, rather than get up and throw a baseball with my son or a football with my son or have a tea party with my daughter or build blocks with my boy. Guys, I know that this has to ring true with some of you. And maybe it's not this exactly, but there's something in your life. There's something that's keeping you from being what you know, what you want to be. You feel it. It's an ache in your gut. It's a burden to your soul. You want more. You know there's more. It's overcoming this now. And how do we do it? Guys, easily, it's one step at a time. And I know that some of you, one step is going to be difficult. Addiction's hard to break, guys. My addiction's to food. Maybe you're listening to this and your addiction's drugs. Maybe it's alcohol. Maybe it's pornography. Maybe it's fill in the blank. But you know that this generational curse, because I guarantee if you track it back, your father did the same thing. And his father before him. But you know it's keeping you in the same patterns, the same place the generations before you have been. Guys, this is a place where we're going to break this stuff. We're going to encourage one another that it's no longer the way it's always been. But guys, we're going to be the one that reshapes the legacy. We're going to be the one that tears down strongholds. We're going to be the one that pulls ourselves up by our bootstraps and that does it. You're going to be the one that finally does it. Create the legacy. Stop letting the stuff weigh you down. Lay it down. Let's do it. Let's get to it. Thank you guys for joining us for episode number 1 of The Uncommon Edge. I wanted to give you a little bit of the symbolism behind the rusted sword being sharpened. And it's this. We all carry rust, regret, fear, failure. But when we surrender it to God, whenever we commit to growth and we link arms with the right men, we get sharper. So what to expect each week is that we'll bring you raw conversations, real tactics, and uncommon mindsets to help you build your edge. Not only spiritually, not only mentally, but we'll give you practical tactics to move forward. See, guys, this is more than just a podcast. It's a movement. And you don't have to do it alone.